iLabX, the Internet Masterclass. Welcome to part 1 of our journey through the Internet Mountains. In the upcoming 6 parts, you will get to know all the relevant parts of the Internet. Afterwards, you will know what happens when you enter a URL into your web browser, for instance. So when you surf a website, what exactly happens inside this magic Internet. Here we see our path that we will go through in the upcoming parts, and together with the iLab, we will start today with the part about signals and cables. Enjoy! So what exciting adventures are laying ahead of us on today's journey? Let's have a look. So we will start with the VLab layer 1 that you learned about already in the part 0, and the layer 1 is the physical layer. So we'll start our journey by looking at physical media. So physical media are, for instance, these twisted pair cables here, so they contain copper and have these interesting connectors here. Other physical media are, for instance, fiber optical cables, so they look like this here, so they have different connectors, as you can see here. And another physical medium is the one that is accessed via this thing here, so via the antenna here. So this is an antenna that you can find at your wireless network card, for instance, and the medium here is actually the air. So the electromagnetic waves here are going through the air to the receivers on the other side. We'll also look at other physical items like network cards here or switches. Okay, so what else will we look at? So we look at encodings. And so encodings are about how do you form the signals on one side so that on the other side you can receive the same signal. And so the encoding is about when you have something to transfer here, how do you transform it into a signal to the other side, and how do you decode it there into then again data. Then we have something that is called so as you've heard, so Jonas was just moving here through the picture and creating some noise, and our channel was that I wanted to communicate to you, and as you might have heard, the communication was disturbed. So you could barely hear me or you could not hear me at all. And this already shows us the main problem of the noisy channels. So the noisy channels prevent that the signal goes through in a good way. What else will we look at? So we'll look at the VLab layer 2, which is the data link layer, and there we will look at Ethernet frames. So Ethernet frames are the formatting of the data that is then transported over the signals, over these physical media here. And Ethernet is the standard that is used in the Internet. And here we'll also have a look at something that we will see on each of the other layers as well, namely so-called headers and trailers. And these are information that is exchanged between 2 sides here. So when data is transferred, then the control information is sent in the headers and the trailers. We will also look at addressing using MAC addresses. So when you think about, you have, for instance, the wireless antenna here, then all the hosts that are in reach of the antenna will get all the transmissions, but the transmissions only address some of these hosts. So you can think about being at a party and talking to a friend while other people are also talking around. And so here we will look at, okay, how can you do the addressing? And as a human, you would, for instance, say the name, and the MAC addresses are exactly like a name of someone else. They are namely a unique address of a network card, so of such a thing that is inside your computer. Okay, what else will we look at? So we'll look at network topologies and collision domains. So collision domains are exactly here. Only those that are directly connected to the cable are inside a collision domain. So when signals are moving over, then only it's happening in the cable, and so someone who is outside the cable does not get the information. With this antenna, the collision domain is the reach of the antenna. And topologies is about how do you connect different hosts, so different computers, different machines in the internet, and there you have different ways. You can do, for instance, a star, you can do a full mesh, so everybody is connected to everybody else. So this is with the wireless here, as long as they're in reach. Or you can do rings or other topologies. And we will get to know some devices to do this. So this is a network switch, so it has some connectors here, and there you can actually plug in the network cables, and like this, it's like a multi-power plug. Like this, you can then connect different end hosts. And when it comes to the actual internet, these switches get a little bigger. So this is one you can find in our building here. And when you go to the basement, you can even find bigger switches. So this one here is a network switch that you will find in the basement of this building. And as you can see, it has many more ports where you can connect machines. And in the internet, when you talk to a website, for instance, your data will go over multiple of these internet switches and also over multiple routers. And we will get to know what this is in the upcoming weeks, so in the next weeks or next parts, we will get to know about this. Okay, so what else will we look at? We look at media access. So how can we make sure when someone can actually use the medium so that not everybody is sending at the same time, meaning that all those who do not want to communicate or are communicating at the same time, they are basically creating noise, and so this noise is disturbing your communication. So this is media access. And the last thing we look at are the network interfaces. So these are the network cards, like this one here, and what you can do with them. Okay, so very interesting topics. Nice journey ahead of us. Enjoy the hike.